Bunmi's phone vibrated non-stop that night after receiving a present she never expected. It was supposed to be a birthday gift. A beautiful $5,000 money bouquet made of neatly wrapped $100 bills. Smelling of luxury, worth millions of naira, she screamed in joy when she received it from one of the richest guys in town. She showed it off to the world. She proudly tagged the man who gave it to her. But before morning came, the worst tragedy happened. She was dead. A present meant for celebration turned into a symbol of sorrow, and what people later discovered about the money bouquet, about the gift that looked ordinary, left mouths wide open in shock. Because when the truth finally came out, everyone realized something chilling. That money bouquet was not a gift. It was an exchange for her life. Bunmi loved beautiful things. Not just like them, she lived for them. Every morning, before her feet even touched the floor, her hand reached for her phone. The screen lit up her face as she scrolled endlessly through Instagram and TikTok. Designer bags, luxury apartments, women posing beside expensive cars, couples on yachts, laughing like life had never touched them with pain. She smiled softly to herself. One day, she whispered, tapping the screen, "This will be my life." Sometimes she would zoom in on the pictures and imagine herself there, hair perfectly done, nails shining, laughing freely, without worrying about bills or stress. She was young, vibrant, and stunning in a way that made heads turn without effort. When she walked past people, some looked twice, some stared longer than they should. She knew she was beautiful, and she carried herself with confidence. She loved the feeling of being admired, loved how people complimented her pictures online, loved the comments that said, "Fine girl, soft babe, you deserve better things." Each comment fed something inside her quietly. Her social media pages were carefully curated. Every picture had good lighting. Every caption was intentional. Soft life only. I deserve the best. If it's not luxury, I don't want it. Those were the kinds of words she posted. Sometimes she would delete a picture if it didn't get enough likes within minutes. Sometimes she would change captions twice, 3 times, until it sounded rich enough. To Bunmi, image mattered. How people saw her mattered. She loved rich men openly and unapologetically. She liked their pictures, commented under their posts with fire emojis and laughing hearts. When she saw videos of men surprising their girlfriends with expensive gifts, she saved them. She replayed those videos late at night, smiling to herself. "This is how love should be," she once said to her friend. If a man is not spending money, what exactly is he doing? Her friends laughed with her, but some shook their heads. "Bunmi, life is not only money," one of them tried to advise gently. She rolled her eyes dramatically. "If I'm not enjoying life, what's the point? I didn't come to this world to suffer." And she meant it. At home, her family noticed it too. Her mother would sometimes watch her scroll endlessly and sigh, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Bunmi," she called one evening from the kitchen, "this phone you are always holding, what exactly are you looking for inside?" Bunmi didn't look up. "Better life, Mummy." Her mother shook her head slowly. "Better life is not only about money." Bunmi finally looked up, smiling playfully. "Don't worry, I'll marry a rich man. Just wait and see." Her father laughed it off whenever her mother complained. "She's just young. Let her enjoy her dreams. She will grow out of it." Even her elder brother teased her. "Just don't bring Yahoo boys into this family," he joked. She laughed loudly. "God forbid. I want legit money, clean money." But deep inside, Bunmi didn't just want money. She wanted validation. She wanted to feel chosen, wanted, desired enough for someone to spend heavily on her. Every expensive thing she admired felt like proof of worth. To her, money was love made visible. And soon, she met the perfect guy that fitted into that dream. His name was Noel. Bunmi met Noel on a random afternoon she never planned for. It was one of those days that felt ordinary, no makeup effort, no big expectations. She had stepped out to buy something small, nothing serious. She wore a simple dress, her hair packed neatly, face glowing without effort. As she stood by the roadside, waiting for a ride, lost in her phone, a sleek black Benz rolled to a stop beside her. The window slid down slowly. "Excuse me," a calm male voice called out. Bunmi turned and froze. The man behind the wheel was tall, handsome, and composed in a way that felt deliberate. His shirt was crisp. His wristwatch looked expensive but not loud. His eyes were calm, studying her like he already knew her. For a second, she forgot to breathe. "Yes?" she asked, suddenly aware of her heartbeat. "You dropped this," he said, holding up something small. She checked her bag quickly. "Oh, thank you." He smiled slightly. "You're welcome. Where are you headed?" She hesitated for half a second, then answered, "Just down the road." "I'm going that way," he said. "I can drop you if you don't mind." Normally, she would have refused, but something about him felt safe, polished, and different. She glanced at the car again. It looked clean, expensive, and quiet. "Okay," she said, opening the door. Inside, the car smelled expensive. Leather, clean air, subtle perfume. Her eyes darted around, taking everything in without trying to look obvious. The dashboard alone told stories of money. "I'm Noel," he said as he drove. "Bunmi, that's a beautiful name." She smiled. "Thank you." They talked casually at first. Small things, work, traffic, weather. But the conversation flowed easily. Noel spoke well, calm, confident, never trying too hard. He listened when she spoke, nodded thoughtfully, asked questions that made her feel seen. And she found herself laughing more than she planned to. By the time he dropped her off, she didn't want to leave. "Can I see you again?" he asked, parking smoothly. Her heart skipped. She tried to act calm. "Sure." He collected her number, and that was all it took. Within 2 days, Bunmi was already emotionally hooked. Noel moved fast but gently. He checked on her often, asked if she had eaten, asked how her day went, sent her thoughtful messages that made her smile at her phone like a schoolgirl. He took her out to expensive restaurants she had only seen online. He ordered confidently, paid without checking prices, and spoke to waiters like someone used to being there. "You like seafood?" he asked one night. She nodded eagerly. "Yes." "Good," he smiled. "We'll try a better place next time." Next time came quickly. Every meeting felt like a dream. Soft music, fine dining, conversations about travel, business, and future plans. He spoke about life like someone who had mastered it. "You deserve the best," he told her, holding her hand across the table. She felt her chest warm. No man had ever spoken to her like that, with certainty, and she ignored the red flags quietly waving in the background. How everything moved so fast. How he never talked much about his past. How money flowed from him like water. How she knew so little, yet trusted so much. To her, those weren't warnings. They were signs. "This is it," she told herself, staring at her phone after their chat. "This is what I've been waiting for." To her, Noel didn't look like danger. He looked like answered prayers. But little did she know, she had just walked into a trap beautifully wrapped in luxury. And the price would be higher than she could ever imagine. In no time, the day she had been dreaming about finally came. Bunmi woke up that morning with excitement bubbling inside her chest. It was her birthday. Even before she fully opened her eyes, her phone buzzed non-stop beside her pillow. Messages poured in from friends, cousins, followers, and people she barely remembered knowing. Happy birthday, soft life queen. Bunmi, today is your day. More money, babe. She smiled, stretched lazily on the bed, and whispered to herself. This year must be different. She sat up, picked her phone, and scrolled through the messages slowly, enjoying every word. Then her eyes paused on one unread message. Get ready tonight. I have something special for you. Her heart skipped. She smiled and typed back quickly. On, baby. You're making me curious already. She spent the entire morning glowing. Even her family noticed. You're smiling like someone who has already seen tomorrow. Her sister, So-So, teased while tying her scarf. Bunmi laughed. Of course. Today is my birthday. Allow me to enjoy small. By evening, she was fully dressed, hair laid perfectly, makeup flawless, outfit screaming elegance. She checked herself in the mirror one last time and smiled proudly. This is my era, she said softly. When Noel arrived to pick her up, heads turned. His car gleamed under the streetlight, clean and quiet, expensive without shouting. He stepped out calmly, dressed simply but tastefully. You look stunning, he said as she approached. Thank you, she smiled shyly. They arrived at a private lounge reserved just for her. Soft music played in the background. Balloons floated gently. Her friends were already there, screaming the moment she stepped in. Birthday girl! Phones were already recording. She laughed loudly, hugging everyone, soaking in the attention. Drinks were poured. Laughter filled the room. She felt like the center of the universe. Then Noel stood up. He tapped his glass lightly. Can I have everyone's attention? The room went quiet. Bunmi looked at him, confused and excited. What is it? He smiled calmly and nodded toward the entrance. 2 attendants walked in slowly, carrying something wrapped in clear nylon and ribbons. At first, Bunmi thought it was flowers. Then she looked closer. Her mouth fell open. Wait, she whispered. The attendants placed it gently on the table in front of her. Noel stepped forward and removed the wrapping. What lay before her stole her breath. It was a money bouquet, neatly wrapped, perfectly arranged, each roll crisp and clean, 50 wraps, each $100, all totaling $5,000. About 7 million naira for her birthday. Bunmi screamed. Oh my goodness! She jumped up, clutching her chest. No, no, this is not real, she shouted. Noel, are you serious? Her friends went wild. On. God, when? Bunmi is really lucky. Phones shot up instantly. Videos, pictures, flashlights. Noel just stood there, calm, watching her reaction. Happy birthday, he said softly. You deserve it. She rushed forward and hugged him tightly. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. Her hands trembled as she touched the notes, counting with her eyes, laughing and crying at the same time. This is dollars, one friend screamed. Each wrap is $100, another added. Bunmi felt dizzy with happiness. She grabbed her phone immediately. She snapped pictures from every angle, recorded videos, took selfies with the bouquet. She posted it instantly. Money bouquet for my birthday. God's blessings are loud. Soft life is real. She tagged Noel proudly. Within minutes, the post exploded. Likes poured in. Comments flooded her page. So sweet. This is massive. Who is this guy, I beg? Babe, enjoy your life. She leaned back in her chair, scrolling happily, heart full. That night, after the celebration, Noel dropped her off at home. Text me when you get inside, he said calmly. I will, she replied, still smiling. She entered her room, placed the bouquet carefully on her bed, and stared at it again. She picked up one roll, then another. She laughed softly. This life, she whispered. But that was the last happy moment Bunmi ever experienced. Because that same night, something sudden and strange happened, and by morning it revealed itself. The house was unusually quiet that morning. Too quiet. Normally, Bunmi would already be awake, music playing softly from her room as she scrolled through her phone, replying to comments from the viral post she made the night before. Her laughter usually floated down the corridor, light and careless. But this morning, nothing. No music, no movement, no phone vibrations. So noticed it first. She passed Bunmi's door on her way to the kitchen and paused. The door was slightly open. Bunmi's light was still on. That's strange, she murmured. She knocked lightly. Bunmi? No answer. She pushed the door open. Bunmi was lying on the bed, on her back, exactly the way she must have fallen asleep. Her hair was still neat, her face calm. The money bouquet lay beside her, untouched, still perfectly arranged like a silent witness. Bunmi, Soso called again, louder this time. No response. Her heart skipped. She stepped closer and touched Bunmi's shoulder. It was cold. A sharp fear crawled up her spine. Bunmi? She whispered, shaking her gently now. Stop joking. Still, nothing. Her hands began to tremble. She shook her harder. Bunmi, wake up. Panic seized her throat. She ran out of the room, screaming. Bunmi! The scream shattered the early morning silence. Her mother rushed out of her room barefoot, wrapper loose, heart racing. What is it? She shouted. Soso ran toward her, shaking. She's not waking up. They burst into Bunmi's room. She lay on the bed, still, too still. The money bouquet was still there. Bunmi, her mother called, touching her arm. Wake up. No response. Her father rushed in, eyes wide. What's happening? They shook her, called her name, poured water, prayed. Nothing. Her mother screamed and collapsed. My daughter. Neighbors rushed in. Someone called for help. Someone cried loudly. Someone kept shouting prayers. But nothing changed. Bunmi was gone. She was dead. No sickness. No accident. No struggle. No explanation. The house filled with tears, confusion, and disbelief. How? She was fine last night. She just celebrated her birthday. Her family sat in shock, surrounded by mourners. And just while the crying continued, a young woman stood quietly among the crowd, watching. She hesitated, then slowly approached Soso. Excuse me, she said softly. Soso turned, eyes swollen. Yes? The stranger lowered her voice. The deceased collected a money bouquet? Soso frowned slightly, confused. Yes, before she died, she replied. The stranger's face changed instantly. Her eyes widened. Her hands flew to her mouth. She staggered back slightly. Jesus, she whispered, panicking. And her panic drew attention. People noticed the sudden change in her face, the way her knees almost gave way, the way her hands shook as if she had just seen death stare back at her. "Jesus," she whispered again, louder this time. Soso stared at her, confused and already exhausted from crying. "Madam, what are you saying Jesus for? Do you know something?" The woman hesitated. Her lips trembled. She looked around the room, the wailing mother, the stunned father, neighbors murmuring, the lifeless room that still smelled faintly of celebration from the night before. I don't know how to say this," she murmured. "Say it," Soso said sharply now. "Whatever you know, say it." The woman swallowed hard. "My name is Tola," she said quietly. "And with what I just heard, that money bouquet is not ordinary." The room slowly began to quiet down. People leaned in. "What do you mean it's not ordinary?" someone asked. Tola's eyes filled with tears. "Months ago," she began, voice shaking, "my own sister received the same kind of gift." Soso's breath caught. "The same? How?" she asked. "A money bouquet," Tola said, "neatly wrapped dollars, big money, given to her by a man who said he loved her." A murmur spread through the room. Tola continued, her voice breaking as memories flooded back. "That same night, my sister collapsed." A woman gasped loudly. "She didn't die," Tola said quickly, shaking her head, "but she almost did. She was breathing, but she was gone, like her spirit had left her body." The room fell completely silent. Even Bunmi's mother stopped crying. "What happened?" Soso whispered. "We rushed her to the hospital. Doctors said nothing was wrong. No sickness, no poison, no explanation." Her hands clenched tightly. She stayed like that for hours, just lying there, cold. Someone whispered, "Jesus." Tola nodded slowly. "It was when my mother insisted we take her to church that things changed." She wiped her tears. "Our pastor prayed hard, all-night prayers, fasting, spiritual inquiry." She paused, her eyes darting nervously. And that's when it came out. Soso felt her legs weaken. "What came out?" she asked. Tola lowered her voice, almost afraid of her own words. "That the gift was not a gift," she said. "It was an exchange." The room felt like it stopped breathing. "A ritual exchange," Tola continued. "Life for wealth." Someone screamed softly. Tola nodded again. Her tears fell freely now. "The money bouquet was used to exchange my sister's life, so the man who gave it could renew his wealth, her blood, her life force." Bunmi's mother let out a long, broken wail. "Oh, my daughter?" Soso covered her mouth with both hands. You mean Bunmi?" She couldn't finish the sentence. Tola shook her head in pain. "That's why I panicked when you said she collected it, because we were told once the exchange is completed, the person dies." At this moment, the room erupted. Cries, prayers, shouts, fear. Some people backed away slowly, as if the money bouquet might jump up and kill them next. God forbid. "Lord, have mercy. This world is wicked." Bunmi's father stood up, shaking violently. "Who gave my daughter this thing?" he shouted. Soso suddenly remembered. Her heart skipped violently. "The post," she said aloud, "her last post. Everyone turned to her. She posted it," Soso said, already reaching for her phone. "She tagged the person who gave it to her." The room buzzed with urgency. "Check it! Bring the phone! Let us see him." Fear had now turned into something else. Anger. Soso's fingers trembled as she unlocked Bunmi's phone. Her hands were cold, even though the room was hot and crowded. Sweat trickled down her spine as the screen lit up. For a second, she hesitated, as if opening the phone might make everything more real. Her social media app was still open. Notifications were still pouring in. Likes, comments, celebration emojis, birthday wishes that had not yet caught up with death. Happy birthday, Queen. Soft life looks good on you. God win. Soso's throat tightened. The last post stared back at them like a curse frozen in time. It showed Bunmi, smiling brightly, the money bouquet held proudly in her hands. The caption glowing with joy, completely unaware it was a farewell. God has been so good to me. A low cry escaped Bunmi's mother's lips. Jesus, she whispered, clutching her chest. Soso's eyes dropped slowly, and then she saw it. The tag, Noel. The name glowed blue on the screen, innocent looking, but heavy. Very heavy. That's him, Soso whispered, her voice barely above breath. The room leaned in. Bunmi's father stepped closer, his face hardened in a way Soso had never seen before. Zoom it, he said firmly. She tapped. Noel's profile opened, showing a well-polished page. Expensive cars parked carelessly like toys. Designer clothes displayed without effort. Luxury hotels. Private jets. Smiling selfies that carried no warmth. He looks too innocent, someone muttered from behind. Another voice whispered, this one is not normal. Bunmi's mother broke down again, slumping onto the chair. This man killed my daughter, she cried hoarsely. This man, her wail tore through the room. Suddenly, the grief turned sharp. Anger replaced shock. Call the police. Now, before he runs. Don't let him escape. Someone was already dialing. Within minutes, the sound of sirens cut through the neighborhood. Officers entered the house. Their faces looked serious as the room erupted into overlapping voices. Phones were handed over. Screens shoved forward. Everyone talked at once. The money bouquet. The birthday. The sudden death. The stranger's revelation. One officer raised his hand. One person at a time. As the story came together, the officers exchanged glances, quiet, knowing glances. This is not the first time we're hearing something like this, one of them said quietly, almost to himself. Fear rippled through the room. They moved fast. Noel's profile was traced. His number was extracted. Digital footprints followed. Locations triangulated. One officer stepped aside, speaking into his radio quietly, then nodded. He's still in town, he confirmed. A sharp breath escaped Bunmi's mother. The room held its breath. Within hours, 2 police vehicles pulled up in front of a luxury apartment building. Noel had just stepped out of the elevator when they approached him. Mr. Noel, one officer called. He turned, slightly confused, but composed. Yes? You're under arrest, the officer said firmly. For questioning in connection with the death of Bunmi Adebayo and the money bouquet she received from you. Noel frowned, genuine surprise flashing across his face. What? Death? He asked, raising his hand slowly. Officer, there must be a mistake. I only gave her a birthday gift. Save it, another officer said, snapping the handcuffs on. Click! As they led him toward the vehicle, Noel glanced around, his calm cracked just a little. This is ridiculous, he muttered. I don't even know what you're talking about. The man who looked like answered prayers now sat quietly in a police vehicle, his calm face betraying nothing. But behind him, a dead girl lay in her parents' house, and a truth darker than money had begun to surface. Within minutes, The vehicle arrived at the police station. The air inside was heavy. Noel sat at the metal table, calm, collected, too calm for a man accused of murder. The officers circled him like vultures around a wounded prey. Files shuffled. Cameras clicked on. A senior officer, dark-skinned and stern-faced, leaned forward. "Your name?" "Noel," he replied quietly. "Full name?" the officer snapped. "Noel Obinna." The officer nodded, flipping through a file. "You know why you're here?" Noel shifted slightly, maintaining his composure. "They said something about a girl, about Bunmi. But I swear I didn't do anything. I only gave her a birthday present." The officer's eyes lifted slowly. "A birthday present?" "Yes," Noel said quickly. "A money bouquet. That's all. I didn't harm her." Another officer, standing behind, scoffed. $5,000 as an ordinary birthday gift? Noel said nothing. His jaw tightened. "Answer the question," the senior officer demanded. "You gave her $5,000 in cash, wrapped as a bouquet?" "Yes," Noel muttered, "but it was just a gift." The room erupted in short, dry laughter. The officer leaned closer. "Who gives $5,000 as a casual gift to a girl he's only known for a few days?" Noel's voice dropped lower. "I liked her. I wanted to make her happy." The officer slammed the table with his palm. "Stop lying!" Noel jumped slightly. The officer's tone sharpened. His voice echoed through the room. "You expect us to believe you gave someone almost 7 million naira just because you liked her? Who are you deceiving?" Noel's lips quivered, but he stayed quiet. Another officer spoke this time. "You think we don't know? This same style has happened before. Girls receiving money bouquets, then dying mysteriously. You fit the same description every time." Noel's eyes darted to the side. His breathing quickened. The senior officer folded his arms. "Talk. Why her? Why the money bouquet?" "It was just a gift," Noel stammered again, his voice shaking slightly. "I swear." "Where did you get the money?" another officer barked. "My business?" Noel stammered. "What kind of business?" Noel's mouth opened, but no words came. "You see," the officer said, shaking his head. "We've seen people like you before. You hide behind luxury. You pretend to be generous. You call it a gift, but people die afterward." He paused and leaned forward until his face was inches from Noel's. "You better start talking before this turns ugly." Minutes passed. Noel rubbed his wrists where the handcuffs had bitten into his skin. Sweat gathered on his forehead. He swallowed hard, but his throat felt dry as dust. The officer nodded to one of the men standing by. "Bring it!" They brought a clear bag and dropped it on the table. Inside Bunmi's phone, her pictures, her post, the money bouquet frozen on the screen. "Recognize this?" the officer asked. Noel looked at it, then slowly nodded. "That's her," he whispered. The officer's voice turned cold. "The girl you killed." "I didn't," Noel began, but the officer slammed the table again. "Stop lying!" The shout made Noel flinch. Another officer grabbed his shoulder roughly. "You think we're joking here? You think this is social media where you can post and smile?" They began questioning in rounds. "Where did you meet her? How long did you know her? Why did you give that specific amount? What do you gain from giving a gift like that?" Each question came harder, faster, and sharper. Noel's confidence began to fade. His calm expression cracked piece by piece. The fear he'd hidden behind his expensive looks began to surface. He clenched his fists, trembling slightly. The atmosphere became tense. Silence filled the room again. Only the ticking wall clock was heard. Then the officer spoke one final time, slow and deliberate. "If you don't confess now, you'll never leave this place alive." Noel looked at their faces, anger, disgust, and authority, staring him down. He exhaled shakily. His eyes filled up, and then, finally, he broke and began confessing. It started with a whisper. "I didn't mean for her to die," he muttered. The officers looked at each other. "What did you say?" the senior officer asked quietly. Noel lowered his head. His voice trembled. "I didn't mean for her to die. It wasn't supposed to be her. It's just how it works." "How? What works?" the officer asked sharply. Noel's chest heaved. The ritual. A cold silence gripped the room. He began to talk slowly, painfully, but truthfully. "I joined a group 2 years ago. It's not what people think. They call it a brotherhood, but it's not ordinary. They promised me wealth, power, and fame. I thought it was just business networking until they told me the condition." "What condition?" the officer pressed. "Renewal," Noel said quietly. "Every 6 months, someone's life must be exchanged for mine to keep living rich. If not, everything disappears." The room went still. He continued, tears streaming freely now. "I don't go after just anyone. I go for girls who want luxury, girls that love soft life, girls who won't ask questions when they see expensive gifts." He explained everything, how he picked his targets, how he studied them on social media, how he approached them like a dream come true. "I just talk to them gently. I act like a gentleman. I don't force anything. I give them something expensive, a gift that looks innocent but isn't. Once they accept it, the exchange is done. It's not me that kills them physically. It's the covenant. They told me it must be wrapped in foreign notes, usually dollars, to make it attractive. Each note is consecrated. When the person receives it with joy, her life begins to count down." "Count down to what?" an officer asked. "To her death," he whispered. One of the officers clenched his jaw. "You're evil," Noel cried. "I didn't want to. I swear I didn't want to. But once you join, there's no going back. The money comes easily, but so does blood. It's the price." The officers stared at him in disgust, writing everything down. The senior officer finally spoke. "So all the girls died after collecting those gifts?" Noel nodded. "All of them." He wept openly now, head in his hands. The truth had spilled, and there was no covering it again. News of his confession spread. The story went viral. People everywhere watched the video of his confession in disbelief. Some were furious. Some were terrified. Some whispered that they too had received gifts like that. But nothing could bring Bunmi back. At her home, the atmosphere was heavy with grief and silence. The smell of condolence flowers mixed with candle wax hung in the air. Her mother sat at the same spot on the couch every day, staring at the empty chair where Bunmi used to sit, scrolling her phone. Her father barely spoke anymore. Sometimes he just stood at the doorway, watching the world pass like a dream he no longer belonged to. So cried every night. She replayed the videos of Bunmi laughing, twirling the bouquet, smiling at her phone, and broke down every single time. At the police station, Noel faced trial. The court was packed the day judgment was read. The judge's voice rang through the hall. For deliberately taking the life of Miss Bunmi Adebayo in a ritual exchange, this court finds you guilty of murder and you are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment. Gasps filled the courtroom. Noel stood silently, his head bowed. No designer clothes now. No perfume. No smiles. Just a broken man chained by his own greed. As he was led away, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, but he said nothing. outside the courthouse, Bunmi's family stood together. They had justice but not peace, because no amount of punishment could bring back their daughter. Her mother whispered softly, tears running down her face. If only she knew! If only she had listened to me! The world moved on, but their home never did. Bunmi's story became a warning. Parents told their daughters, "Don't accept expensive gifts from strangers. Not every soft life is truly soft. Some luxuries are traps wrapped in ribbons." And somewhere in the city, behind prison bars, Noel sat quietly staring at the same moon Bunmi once admired, haunted by the truth that money had bought him nothing but eternal emptiness. Lesson from this story. Besties, this isn't just a story for entertainment, it's a serious eye-opener. It reminds us that not everything that shines is a blessing. Before you accept expensive gifts worth millions from anyone, pause and ask questions. No one gives such huge money for free, and some gifts come with hidden prices far greater than money. What looks like generosity can sometimes hide dangerous intention. Don't forget, there is nothing free in this life. The love of money, when unchecked, can cost far more than comfort it can cost a life. Be careful who you accept expensive gifts from, especially when there's no clear reason, no history, and no accountability behind it.
Thank you so much for watching. This is African Tales by Nathan. See you in the next story. Bye.